welcome to the Specialized High School Examination Test Prep videos. In these video series, I will be teaching you about the basic structure of the exams, some tips and advices, and also the specific types of questions you need to know basically to master the exam. First of all, I would like to tell you that the Specialized High School exam is a tricky exam. It's a hard exam. Even if you're a very smart student in class, I would highly advise you that you practice for this exam. Without practice, it's very hard to do well on this exam. So for the first video, I would like to go ahead and give you a basic overview and structure of the exam. The first thing you should know about this exam, that the time limit you have is basically 2.5 hours. This exam is broken down into two main parts, and your two main parts are your verbal section, or your reading section, and then your math section, of course. And the entire exam essentially consists of only 95 questions, but the total value points you can get is total 100 points. The verbal section can be broken down to 3 specific sections, and the first section we have over here is the scrambled paragraphs, followed by the logical reasoning questions, and then finally followed by the reading comprehension. Of these subtopics of the verbal section, we have exactly 5 questions for the scrambled paragraphs, followed by 10 questions for the logical reasoning, followed by 30 reading comprehension questions. And then finally, for the math section over here, we have 50 questions. Now, something very important you should know about the exam, statistically speaking, the hardest section or the subsection of this entire exam for most people is the scrambled paragraphs, okay? These guys over here, these questions, you have 5 questions right at the start of the exam, and these questions tend to be the hardest for most students taking the Specialized High School exam. Each of the questions are actually worth 2 points, so double the value of any other question over here on the exam. Each of these questions are only worth 1 point. So if you get a question right, you get one total point for your raw score. Another thing you should understand about the exam is that there is no penalty for getting a wrong answer choice. So please do not leave any answer choice blank on the exam. If you run out of time, please just go ahead and fill in your bubble sheet to make sure you have a completed answer sheet. So once again, going on to the scrambled paragraphs, coming back to this area over here, the scrambled paragraph is one of the hardest sections for most students. And math, logical reasoning, these 2 sections, at least when I personally go ahead and teach a lot of my students, I tell them that it is very easy with practice to master your logical reasoning section and also the mathematics section. Ideally, you should be getting every single question right for both these sections. If not, at least you're getting 1 or 2 wrong, but you should really try to aim for a perfect score. This is a very big tip that you have to understand. These 2 sections are you can easily master them because you know exactly the types of questions they will ask you on the exam. You see, the test writers, when they make this exam, they're not giving you new topics every year. They're not going to try to trick you. Yes, some of the questions may be challenging, especially for the math section. However, you will know exactly the specific types of problems they'll be testing you on, especially on the logical reasoning section. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the point value system over here and the difference between the raw score and of course the converted score as well. So over here, scrambled paragraph section, the most allotted points that you can possibly get is a total of 10 points. Once again, each question being worth double the value, which is 2 points. Over here, 10 points. Over here, 30 points, and over here 50 points, giving you a total score of 100 possible points or 50 total points per section. Now this is a very important exam tip. This is very important, so please pay careful attention, and I would like you to go ahead and take a look at this raw score conversion chart over here, okay? So over here, this is by per section of the exam. Here, the maximum questions you can get right for a section is 50 questions, and 50 questions gives you a total of 400 points. Now, once again, these converted scores may change from year to year depending on how the students do, but this is just a rough estimate to give you an idea. So, of course, the total possible score, the highest score you can possibly get on your real exam is a total of 800 points. But here's the important part, okay? If you want to do well on this exam, and you're not an expert, let's say, on both the math section and the verbal section, it's a very important tip, okay? You want to focus on your strongest section, okay? You want to go on the exam, and if you're a math guy and you know you've really prepared for the math section, you want to go ahead and dive directly into the math section, and you want to make sure you try to get as many questions you can possibly get right on this exam. And then, of course, you come back to the verbal section. So once again, for this exam, you actually don't have to go in order. You don't have to first start off with the scrambled paragraphs. You can go in any order you please. So if you're a math guy, I strongly suggest you start off with the math section. You want to try to secure as many points as you possibly can, of course, but you want to make sure that you're very, very, very strong. And of course, ideally it would be both subjects, but if you are really strong at either math alone or the verbal section alone, you have put yourself at a great advantage, and I'll show you why, okay? Take a look at this conversion score over here. Let's just say you're an average student and you decide, hey, let me go ahead and bump my math points by a few points and let me try to practice for the verbal section as well. Well, let's just say you're above, you did above average, and now you're getting about 40 questions right for the math, and then 254 questions correct on the reading section. If you combine these scores, it's not as high compared to as if you really do well in the math section or the verbal section. It doesn't matter which section you do really well in, but let's just say you decided to, you really practice for this specific section and you go ahead and only get 3 questions wrong. So you're looking at a total raw score just for one section, 320 points. And of course, on the other section, you're still doing average, let's say about 36 points. Go ahead and add these two up together. You'll see that your score is significantly higher, okay? So here's the exam test prep tip for you. You want to make sure that you're really strong at least one subject, okay? You really want to aim for all those points on a section. If you can get a perfect score on either of the sections, wow, you really have a very, very good chance of getting admitted into one of the specialized high schools. So let's go ahead and come back here. I would probably say is that you want to focus most of your test preparation time on focusing on the mathematics, the logical reasoning section, and then of course followed by the reading comprehension section. If you're not a good reader, if you're not a good test taker on the verbal section, please go ahead and try to read more and practice. You have your official specialized high school handbooks along with their test prep book, along with other companies that provide test prep book. So really, practice is a key to really doing well on this exam. Lastly, I would say focus the least of your time on the scrambled paragraph. I'm not saying for you not to practice at all, but once again, students, what I see, a lot of times students practice for the scrambled paragraph section of the exam, but what happens to be as from test to test, from different tests they take, they're all over the place. Sometimes they get 3 questions right, sometimes they get no questions right. So focus your time really on these 3 components over here to really give you a chance, to really get a chance to get admitted into a specialized high school. So here's a brief overview of the specialized high school exam. We've talked about the raw score conversion chart. We've also talked about the specialized high school overview. In the next coming videos, we'll be talking about the specific type questions that this exam can possibly ask you on. Thanks for watching the video. Please be sure to check out our book on Amazon. It's a specialized high school test prep book. This book comes with 5 full-length exams with answer explanations along with a manual to go ahead and better prepare you for the exam. You will find the link on the video or in the description above. Have fun studying.